Okay, so let's see if this writes over here. When you have your points, when you decide what it is you're going to write about, um, here's the 5 body paragraphs. Okay, I'm going to write this along the side here. Hopefully this works. I know what I'm going to write about. The first thing I'm going to write about with um, the college football thing is that mid majors don't get the attention money wise. In fact, they're super dependent on the Big Ten and the SEC and the ACC and all that stuff. So that's just going to be my introduction thing. So that when the Big Ten canceled their season or postponed it or whatever they did, they really messed that up. It really hurt other colleges because Bowling Green was going to get paid $2 million to play Ohio State and Illinois, I think. I forget. But they were getting 2 pay games. They do that. The big conferences do that. They pay for somebody to come basically as a preseason game. Come over to our campus, you play us, you lose, here's $1 million, which is nuts. No other sport does that. But anyway, when they canceled that, those $2 million for BGSU goes to gymnastics and to softball and to other sports. So that crushed everything athletic. That goes to coaches' salaries and who have families of all sports. So that's my introduction. Second, I'm going to write about that these conferences are always flexible. So those are my first 2 arguments. Okay. And they always have been because they've forced to. The MAC plays on Tuesdays and on Wednesdays on ESPN. It's a Saturday sport, and they play it on Tuesdays and Wednesdays because they're flexible. So I'm going to pause for a second. Those are my first and second arguments. Introduction, that's right here. So body paragraph outline. My introduction point, kind of the weakest argument, but we don't really have to call it that. But just the one where it's like, you know what, this isn't the clincher. This is the one that's sort of the gateway into my argument. There's a million ways to do that. However, it's the thing that's going to be the easiest for the reader to get on board. And then this is what the paragraph needs to have roughly. Not exactly, but man, you see it right here. This is a source reference from the card, these note-taking templates I've given you. Just 2 of them. That's all you got to do. Is just like the 2 body paragraphs. Have the citation, have some commentary, good topic sentence. Remember, you join these 2 things together and you write the topic and conclusion later, right? So this so far, I'm going to count is 2 pieces of source material. So we're going to keep a running count on source material over here. So for my introduction thing, all I got to do is find 2 good source quotes. Okay, and that goes for my weakest argument right here, the money one. Next over here, I got the second body paragraph. That's the supplementary argument. Okay, so here I've presented the problem that the bigger conferences make the smaller conferences just wait in line always for money. And because of that, that's why these schools play Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, is because then they can get on TV nationally. Bowling Green, if they played on a Saturday, would never be on national TV. But if they play on a Tuesday, they can. So that flexibility is driven by the money problem. So I need 2 more pieces of source material to join together. This template stays the same to show that the flexibility is driven by that money problem. That's going to be the second body paragraph here. So let me erase these real quick. Actually, I don't have to. This will be cool. Maybe this will work. Bzz, bzz, bzz. There we go. Kind of. Now the third body paragraph. The third body paragraph is not your third strongest point. This is where you step out of your argument and you have what's called the although. This is where you have to say the opposite argument. This is where if you're going to make a point, I'm going to run out of room. Am I? Oh, we're good. What was I saying? You got to say the opposite argument. So this is where you don't want to pick a topic where there's no legitimate other side. You can be angry about, passionate about something where there's no legitimate side. You've got to phrase it in a way to say, okay, although other people think, that's why it's called the although paragraph. You have to say there's a legitimate other side. So look what I'm asking you to do. You have to legitimize, validate. You have to. Otherwise, it's just screaming. It's just that normal binary crap where people are just yelling their own side. Even if you take something as volatile as, say, pro-choice, pro-life, it's a legitimate argument. You can say somebody can be pro-choice and against abortion. It's possible. It's possible. All you have to do is deconstruct the arguments that are already pre-made. Like as if there's only two teams. You can say, yes, a woman's right to choose, and it should, safe, legal, and rare. Why does somebody have to go to jail over this? Why should there be a law that only one gender can be prosecuted for, or at least, you know what I'm saying? So this is where a lot of complexity can be addressed. So, and you don't write it in a way where you're setting them up to knock them down. Not necessarily. That's not the point. The point is to go, like in my example for college football will be, well, there always has been a bowl system, and it's been traditional and all this other stuff. And, football is a traditional sport that has its own quirks to it, which is always just an excuse to act weird. These two pieces of information, again, it's another two source things that do the opposite. They're not going to be that hard to find. Take the best argument of the other side and run with it. Say it in a way. You got to be able to say the opposite argument. Then the fourth body paragraph, that is the rebuttal. This is where you answer to the previous paragraph. So you answer their best. Now, this isn't where you set them up and go, well, obviously they're racist if they think, no, you don't do that. This is an opportunity to be open-minded. I want to use the word gracious, but that sounds like it's being forgiving. And I don't want to say the word compromise like it weakens the argument, but there should be, you know what? When I look at this, there isn't such a massive gulf. There isn't. It's presented that way, and we should ask the question, cui bono, who benefits? Who benefits by having two groups split in two pieces over this? Maybe there's common ground. So we answer it in a way where possibly you can synthesize some of the opposing view and say it's not a zero-sum game. Perhaps it's not all or nothing. Perhaps. And anyway, that is these two things are extremely powerful and persuasive. If you imagine someone writing a paper arguing the opposite of what you think, but in the middle of the paper, they say your point in a very valid, affirming way, it's going to be much easier to read their rebuttal because they have taken your words in your argument and said it in a good way. And then the fifth paragraph is the clincher. This is where you turn back to your argument and you write the strongest thing that you can say. This may be the easiest paragraph to write. This might be the easiest one to research because this is the one you're like, this is what matters most. Well, save it to the end. Show you have a plan. Build up to it. Invite in the opposite. Address the opposite. And then wow them with this. And by doing this, and write them in this order, by the way, when you work on them, when you write in the body paragraphs, write in this order, because the perspective that you gather on this journey is going to inform this in such a big way. It will. You'll have such a broader view of things. I have a clincher. It's not coming to mind right now for the football one. I can't think of it, to be honest. I don't know. I'll come up with it. So anyway, but think about yours. So weakest argument, supplementary argument, opposite argument, rebuttal argument, strongest argument. If you can write those 5 body paragraphs, it will shock you. It will shock you on how, first of all, I'm not going to say easy, but how doable it is to write a paper of certain length. Because at the very end, the goal is to write an introduction and a conclusion body paragraph. I'm sorry, paragraph 1 on the top, 1 on the bottom. We write those last. And if you do this with all that parenthetical citation done along the way, this is no, I don't know if you heard my dog right there. My dog just like moaned and rolled his eyes. Yeah, I get sick of my voice too, dog. Whatever. Dog can't even talk. Just kidding, dog. Love you. Rolled his eyes at me. So was it? I have no idea what I was saying. Oh, when you have to write, this is 7 paragraphs total. And it's going to be a certain amount of pages that may seem overwhelming. But this outline, to be persuasive, is doable. Just start thinking early and think openly and with complexity, and slot things into these spots. Man, I wrote it down. I have to remember what that is. And that's it. So writing the 2 body paragraph thing should be a huge help. Let me get rid of that. This will define your research. Just find 2 things about your introduction, 2 about the support, 2 about the opposite, 2 about how you're going to answer that, and then 2 of your strongest. And write. I hope you heard me say that with my crushed voice right now. Don't wait to be perfect. Write good enough for now. Write, when you take notes, just put words down. Force yourself. Don't sit there and look for the perfect word. Screw that. The perfect wording comes when you know absolutely what you're saying. And even as you're writing, you're still figuring out what you're saying. So you gotta just plain write stuff. And then, keep having that idea of elevating your commentary thought up to ideas, and then having your ideas fall down into details and provable statistics or arguments. And let me help. I don't want to do an assignment where I'm saying, okay, piece by piece, hand it in. However, this walkthrough, man, if you're stuck, please, 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 please email me, message me. I have my phone with me at all times, and I'll try to answer you as quick as I can. And my pleasure to get this thing rolling for you. Pick something you care about, though. This may be the one last time somebody's like, dive into what you care about. Automatic transmission versus manual transmission. That is a legit argument. That's what that one guy wants to write about. It was so cool because I think he's excited, which is awesome. So dive in, and I'm rambling again. I promised I wouldn't. I lied. All right, get after it. Stay safe.